We are in conversation with DIPAM and DPE Secretary, Mr. Arunish Chawla. His name needs no introduction, so has worn many important policy hats in the past, and he is here now with us in this conversation on government's disinvestment strategy. So thank you so much for giving time to CNBC-TV18. It's been a full circle. Thank you so much. Sir, first off, you started the financial year with a bank. Mazgaon Dock OFS, I think, was largely unexpected, especially in the current market environment. What can we expect from here on?
There are many smart players in the market. You have to be slightly smarter than them. Expectation theory tells you unanticipated shocks have real effects. So we hit it right. When the mood was Trumpian and everyone was selling short, we lighted a little spark with an OFS. And it worked. Lo and behold, by the end of the day, the issue was oversubscribed 142%. Nothing succeeds like success.
So, sir, going forward, would you be now working on a new pipeline, so to speak, despite the fact that we are in a very challenging environment, economic and financial?
Yes. It's Honorable Prime Minister's vision that we should share public wealth with our citizens, with the Aam Aadmi, with the ordinary investors. And we genuinely want to make public enterprises a role model in the stock market. And we have a very fair dividend policy where our public enterprises pay 30% of their profit after tax or 4% of their net worth, whichever is higher, as dividends to minority stakeholders. In the closing year, public enterprises have paid the highest ever dividends, 1.4 lakh crores in total, of which 74,000 crores came to the government alone. And the remaining was distributed to senior citizens, small investors, mutual fund holders, and ordinary citizens all over our country.
Yes.
And that's part of our deliberate strategy, and we will continue to go down that road.
So any kind of a broad, though it's very early in the day, the fiscal has just started, but any kind of numbers that you'd like to throw at us in terms of what could be the dividend data going forward in the current financial year? Will it be a repeat of the past fiscal, or maybe somewhere around that, or maybe slightly better?
Even better. Like good players, we will dribble in the market, and off and on we'll turn around and take a strike at the goal. My suggestion to all small investors and mutual fund managers is that always put PSE stocks in your portfolio. They will give you consistent dividends in the long run, every year in a sustainable manner. And I would also urge the private corporates to follow suit and declare fair dividends on their behalf, so that together we can make our stock markets a fair place for the Aam Aadmi.
Right, sir. So make our stock markets a fair place for the Aam Aadmi, but looking at the fact that the past couple of weeks have been extremely choppy, so what's going to be the government's strategy, to navigate in this kind of an environment? And Trump tariffs are a big reality now. So going forward, do you expect this turbulence to continue? And then, how are you going to maneuver?
We are relaxed. We are free from tension. We have developed an in-house policy model, which we call the DIPAM model. Our model brings together corporate performance with dividend policy, links it to market prices, and guides us to decide what to sell and when to sell. The Mazgaon docks came out of that strategy, and it surprised everyone. Expect a few more down the year.
Right, right. Excellent, sir. So any number that you would like to put, like, maybe 5 to 6 more issuances or 7 to 8, and the fact that, government is still like, is brave enough to do this in this kind of an environment, that also sends a message and a signal to, investors across the board. But having said that, so any numbers that you would like to share with us? And one particular question I would like to ask you in this entire, framework is, there's a lot of talk about an LIC OFS. So is that something that you'll be looking at actively, at least in the current financial year, down the line?
Yes, we would. And we would also share it with retail shareholders. And we may also decide to share it with the policy holders. We want LIC to be part of every household in the country.
Okay, okay. So H1, H2, 2%, 3%, I think it's a bit early to ask that, or would you like to shed some light?
You will see it in due course. We may adopt different strategies at different times of the year, depending on market conditions.
Can you elaborate on that, sir, slightly?
Just wait and watch.
Okay, cool. So at least 7 to 8 issuances is what we can expect.
Broadly, you are right.
Right, sir. So also another interesting part is like 5 to 6 CPSEs, top CPSEs are given the best of dividends in FY25. So could that be a good indicator as to what to expect in terms of your OFS pipeline in the current financial year, or that would not be the right strategy?
No, that broadly, I can tell you that we follow a composite strategy, and it's a composite value creation strategy, which means we look at corporate performance, dividends, capex, and calibrated disinvestment together as an integrated whole. And as part of that strategy, our target this year in the current financial year is higher, and we would broadly distribute it 2/3, 1/3. 2/3 to dividends and 1/3 to calibrated disinvestment as part of a composite strategy.
Okay, fair enough, sir, fair enough. So going forward, you have also spoken about offloading government stake in public sector banks. Now, there are 4 to 5 of them, which everybody knows about. They have recently done, some of them recently done QIPs, which were largely subscribed by your PSE players. So under this, in this kind of an environment, how do you plan to go ahead with your OFS strategy and, for these particular entities? And can we expect something on this front in the current fiscal itself, or it may take some time? There's hardly any public float in these banks.
We already issued an RFS 2 months ago, before the start of the current financial year. Very good merchant bankers, transaction advisors have applied. They are being empaneled, and once they are empaneled, we would start the process. So you would expect a few sparks and a few glimpses of hope in the current financial year.
Okay, great, sir. Great. So going forward, we also have a big asset monetization number, around 10 lakh odd crore is a new target now. And separately, you also have the monetization of assets of MTNL and BSNL. Could you elaborate, sir? Out of this 10 lakh odd crore, for instance, has anything been decided as to what's going to be the first year target, or is something that will be done later down the line in consultation with NITI? And so give us an update on what is next in terms of the asset monetization of MTNL and BSNL.
We have set up a national land monetization corporation. Our government has appointed a new CEO recently.
Correct.
And we just finished a very important board meeting for NLMC. There are various kinds of assets. Some have freehold, some are conditional freeholds, some are acquired assets, some have conditional covenants on land use. All these assets have to be dealt with differently. We have developed a land monetization matrix, and we have recently issued an RFP. We are empaneling the best property consultants available in the country, and the BSNL, the MTNL, and even many other assets for units which have been closed down, plus other assets that may be referred to us by other departments and other authorities, we would do a third-party evaluation, a fair valuation for all of them. And this will speed up the asset monetization process. And the ambitious target for 5 years is 10 lakh crores. But the new strategy will catalyze and galvanize everyone to achieve this target.
Okay. So you also mentioned, like, obviously your target for overall disinvestment and monetization is higher in the current financial year, 2/3, 1/3. So can we understand that broadly around 40,000 crores could be roughly your divestment aim ballpark for the current financial, remaining asset monetization around 10,000 crores ballpark?
Well, I can only say you're smart and you're broadly right. We've already kicked the first ball.
Correct.
In the first week of April, and it's given us good results. So definitely we are aiming at that by the end of the financial year.
Great, sir. So, very good. So also just coming back to the question on the choppy waters and the DIPAM model, could you elaborate slightly, because markets sometimes are down 1400 points, the next day 900 points, then they're suddenly up 800 points. So it's good to hear that you'll be doing issuances and you started off very well opening of the financial year. But how exactly are you going to deal with the challenges?
Okay. I must tell you that we sell assets, not obsessions. Like a good asset manager, every portfolio has hedge stocks. So when people look at the macro numbers, where the stock index is going, they're looking at a very coarse picture. The DIPAM model analyzes each stock on its micro foundations. And that is how we calibrate our strategy and decide what to do with which one at what time. And as I said, there are many smart players in the market. We are also there, and we will dribble.
The other big focus at the moment is the IDBI strategic disinvestment. Can you share with us exactly what is the status, and when do you hope to see the transaction closing actually?
It's a multi-stage process, and it's a fairly complex process. We are doing a number of things simultaneously. For example, the data room, the virtual data room is active. All the queries are being answered. We are also negotiating the shareholders agreement. And we've already appointed an asset valuer a few weeks ago. So everything is, going forward like a parallel computer, and you will see results when the time comes.
Okay, but can we assume, like, say, at least by H1 or before the end of H1, we should see this through, or maybe even earlier?
Fingers crossed. Okay. We are hopeful.
Okay, sir. And sir, also we're getting to hear that, some of the, this is something that I'm going to ask, it's up to you to take it. That there are like international banks and all probably in the fray for IDBI bank purchase. Is that broadly right? Anything that you could give a hint?
We do not comment on potential bidders.
Okay, sir. Right. Sir, also another big development that has happened is government stake going up in Vodafone. So how do you deal with it going forward? Like, you're almost at 49% I was just thinking, then do it 51 as well. So how do you deal with this going forward? Because you've also done a face value of $10, and I think sometime back the listed price, it was trading around $7 odd. So how do you see this panning out? What is the road forward for the company, and more importantly, in terms of you becoming a very major shareholder, though of course the promoters continued with the Vodafone management. And what went behind this? And plus also one more question, how will it help Vodafone to kind of take care of its bank loan liabilities? Because that is something that banks will have to deal with, or rather they'll have to deal with them bilaterally. So where does this place us, and what kind of a signal are we trying to give, sir? Please explain.
See, what you've just seen is part securitization of spectrum dues into equity. All this is part of a telecom reform and support package, which was announced 3 years ago. Certain things were done at that time, and the remaining action has been completed recently. On your question of why not beyond 49, the answer is it's a conscious decision. We don't want to nationalize the entity. Telecom, as you know, is a natural oligopoly. The reform package was help to solve the liquidity crisis in the industry. And most players, in accordance with their needs and their conditions, have opted for bits and parts of the package. Going forward, this will help improve the balance sheet. It will mitigate the liquidity crisis. The entity that you mentioned, which is Vodafone Idea, does not have a very large bank loan. It is the dues which are significant, and a significant part of that has been securitized. So that should ease the way going forward.
Immediate pain.
I would lead the rest to the telecom provider and their bankers.
Okay, fine. But it's not a worry that you're sitting with so much of equity in a company which has not been doing well. Part of a conscious strategy, obviously.
There are 200 million customers who still repose their faith in the entity, and it was a win-win for everyone. Going forward, in my view, it will be a good deal for all the stakeholders.
Okay, right, sir. So also, we were, moving on, we were also at some point in time expecting that the government may actually kind of revive or refresh or review its strategy in terms of loss-making entities. Can we hear anything on this sometime soon?
See, one thing needs to be understood carefully here. The policy of the government, the PSE policy of the government, is that there are certain strategic sectors which are in the nature of natural resources or public goods, where government presence is required, and there are other sectors which are purely commercial, where private sector, needs to play a greater part. We should not look at disinvestment as just direct privatization. In general equilibrium, which is how economies function, when we close government enterprises, we also create space for private enterprise and for private players to come and occupy a greater part of that space. So both are actually privatizations. One is direct, one is indirect. But in general equilibrium, they have the same effect. So if you look at it from that point of view, in the 3 years since the policy was announced, 30 enterprises which were not performing so well and were in a purely commercial space have been closed down, and 10 have been strategically disinvested. So put together, in a short span of 3 years, that's a huge achievement.
So these 30 are not the ones that were there earlier also. These are new ones after the PSC policy announcement?
Yes.
So you like to share some names with us, sir?
Well, in every sector, you may pick up one or two. In the pharma sector, you would see the IDPL, which has closed down. There are smaller units. In industrial sector, there are many units like scooters, pumps, compressors. There were many project consulting firms, so on and so forth. In every sector which is commercial, you would see one or two entities which were erstwhile public enterprises, and they have been closed down, and it has created space for the private enterprise.
Okay.
And that is an equally efficient privatization.
Right, right. Would you have any kind of a target for this year as well, or you're looking at a more moving kind of a thing of over the next 2 to 3 odd years? Because it's not a very easy task as well.
As I said, we don't sell. We don't sell obsessions. We sell assets.
Absolutely.
And therefore, we will continue to follow a calibrated strategy going forward, and you will see the results in not too far distant future.
Okay, great, sir. Great, sir. I'll just pop on last question, sir. You spoke about privatization, indirect and direct. So just wanted to understand that there are some other transactions also that have been there on the drawing board for quite some time. They had reached a certain state of conclusion as well. Where do we see those as of now? I mean, what's the status as of now? I mean, would we be looking at them, or it's going to be kind of a pause, think, and then go forward, or not at the moment?
See, about 5 such disinvestments are in the pipeline, and as I said, it's a multi-stage and complex process. You will see them mature one by one. So hold your horses.
Okay, we'll leave it there, sir. One final thing, sir, message for the markets, investors, and your mutual fund managers, everybody across the boards, minority shareholders, your message, especially in the choppy waters.
Yes. In the choppy waters, keep your head high. And my suggestion would be, particularly to ordinary investors, mutual fund managers, do not miss out on the public sector stocks. Do not miss out on the OFS and listings that we do. Make them part of your portfolio. We want to make stock market a part of every Indian's dream.
Correct, correct. You can also name some stocks for everyone's benefit. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this conversation. Always a pleasure, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
That's it. That's it. This is the conversation with the DIPAM and DP Secretary, Mr. Arunish Chawla. Back to you for more.